So, picture this. The world is a giant stage. Tensions are high, right? It's like the moment before the biggest concert of the year. The lights dim, the crowd hushes, and everyone is waiting for that first explosive chord. And then, bam! The United States military decides to drop its latest single, and let me tell you, it was a banger. The recent strikes on Iran weren't just a military operation, they were a performance. A full-blown, sold-out stadium pyrotechnics exploding kind of show. It was a symphony of strategic sound, a perfectly timed and executed piece of music that left the audience and probably the targets absolutely breathless. This wasn't chaos, it was choreography. Military leaders stepped up to the podium not like generals but like proud conductors after a flawless premiere. They called it an incredible and overwhelming success. Now that's not just military speak for we did a thing. No, that's the language of an artist who just nailed a ridiculously complex guitar solo. It's the sound of a producer who knows they've just created a multi-platinum hit. They described an operation so clean, so precise, it was less like a battle and more like a beautifully produced track. Every note hit its mark, every beat landed perfectly, and the final crescendo was, by all accounts, spectacular. It was a message sent not with words, but with rhythm. Think about the sheer audacity of it all. To call a military strike a work of art takes a special kind of confidence. It's like a chef describing a 5-course meal they just prepared, even if the main course was served at Mach 2. The narrative we were given was one of absolute control and mastery. It was a story of a global superpower picking up its instrument and playing a tune so powerful, so clear, that everyone, friend or foe, had no choice but to listen. It was designed to be a showstopper, a finale that would have everyone talking. And it seems the producers of this particular show got exactly what they wanted. What we witnessed was the overture to what some are calling the Military Symphony series. It was a bold opening number designed to set the tone for everything that follows. It was loud, it was clear, and it was unapologetically impressive from a technical standpoint. The lights have come up, the first song has been played, and the world is now the audience, eagerly waiting to see if this is a one-hit wonder or the start of a legendary world tour. The stage is set, the instruments are tuned, and the conductor has taken a bow. The show, it would seem, has just begun. Enter Pete Hegseth, a man who sees the world with a certain rhythm. Listening to him describe the strikes is like listening to a drummer explain their favorite solo. For him, this wasn't just a successful mission, it was a masterclass in percussion. He spoke of the strikes with the energy of a rock star, fresh off the stage, highlighting the sheer precision of it all. Each missile, each bomb, was a perfectly timed drum beat in a much larger composition. Boom, a hit. Boom, another hit. It wasn't random noise, it was a deliberate, powerful, and impeccably timed rhythm section laying down the groove for the entire operation. It was the drum beat of dominance. Hegseth's perspective paints a picture of a military that's not just strong, but sharp. Like a world-class drummer who doesn't just hit hard, but hits with a precision that you can feel in your chest. He emphasized the idea that this wasn't just about overwhelming force, it was about smart force. It was the difference between a toddler banging on pots and pans and a professional percussionist playing a complex polyrhythm. The targets were the cymbals, chosen and struck at the exact right moment to create the maximum effect. The timing was everything, turning what could have been a cacophony into a controlled, powerful statement. You can almost hear him thinking, that's how you do it. It's the satisfaction of a musician who has practiced for thousands of hours to achieve that level of flawless execution. Hegseth's commentary wasn't just analysis, it was appreciation. He saw the strikes as a demonstration of skill, a flexing of musical muscle that showed not just power, but also incredible control and finesse. It was a performance designed to be both intimidating and impressive, a loud, clear beat that says, "We are in control of the tempo." The message was clear. Don't mess with the drummer. This narrative transforms the battlefield into a recording studio. Every decision, from the choice of weaponry to the timing of the launch, becomes a production choice. Hegseth, in this analogy, is the enthusiastic bandmate hyping up the drummer's incredible performance. He's the one telling the reporters, "Did you see that? Did you hear that? Flawless." This wasn't just a military action, it was a display of rhythmic superiority, a powerful and steady beat that echoed across the globe, making it clear who was leading this particular song. If the strikes were a symphony, then the Pentagon was the grand concert hall where the sheet music was written. The military leaders who spoke after the event weren't just commanders. They were the conductors and composers of the Pentagon Philharmonic. They spoke of the operation with a focus on harmony and teamwork, describing how different branches of the military worked together not as separate units, but as sections of a world-class orchestra. The Air Force, the Navy, the Cyber Command. They were the strings, the brass, and the woodwinds, all playing from the same sheet, all following the same conductor. The success, they explained, came from this incredible synergy. It wasn't about one section playing louder than another. It was about how they all blended together to create a single, powerful piece of music. The intelligence agencies were the composers, writing the score by identifying the targets. The planners were the arrangers, deciding which instrument would play which part. And the soldiers, sailors, and airmen were the musicians, each one a virtuoso in their own right, bringing the composition to life with stunning skill and dedication. It was a masterpiece of coordination where every note was planned and every rest was deliberate. Think of the complexity. You have the string section of fighter jets soaring in perfect formation, playing the high, fast-paced melody. Then comes the deep, resonant brass section of naval destroyers launching their own powerful notes from hundreds of miles away. Meanwhile, the woodwind section of unmanned drones provides the subtle, intricate harmonies, gathering information and ensuring the main instruments can play their parts perfectly. All of this was conducted in real time, across vast distances, a testament to the incredible communication and teamwork that made the harmony possible. This orchestral metaphor highlights the sheer scale and complexity of the operation. It wasn't a simple rock song with 3 chords. It was a full-blown classical symphony with multiple movements and intricate parts. The military leaders' pride was evident. They had conducted a difficult piece of music and had, by their own measure, absolutely nailed it. The result was a powerful, unified sound that sent a clear message. It was the sound of a perfectly tuned, perfectly rehearsed orchestra playing a song of power and precision on the world stage. Now let's break down the band itself, the all-star lineup that played this particular hit. Each part of the operation was like a different instrument, contributing its unique sound to the overall track. First, you have the lead guitarists, the F-35 and F-22 fighter jets. They're flashy, they're fast, and they deliver the screaming solos. With their stealth technology, they're like the rock gods who can sneak onto the stage, shred an unforgettable riff right in the front row, and disappear back into the smoke before anyone knows what happened. Their job is to deliver the sharp, precise, high-impact notes that define the song. Then you've got the bass players, the heavy hitters laying down the foundation of the track. These are your B-2 and B-52 bombers. They might not be as nimble as the fighters, but their sound is deep, powerful, and shakes the very ground you stand on. They bring the thunder, the low-end rumble that you feel in your soul. When a B-2 bomber delivers its payload, it's not just a note. It's a deep, resonant chord that sustains for miles, reminding everyone of the sheer, earth-shaking power behind the music. They provide the weight and the gravity to the performance. Of course, no modern band is complete without some electronic elements. Enter the keyboardists and synth players, the drones and cyber warfare units. They are the masters of the subtle, atmospheric sounds that fill out the track. The drones, like a soft synthesizer pad, hover overhead, providing surveillance and reconnaissance, setting the mood and making sure the other instruments know their cues. The cyber units are the DJs, messing with the opponent's sound system, disrupting their communications and ensuring that the only music being heard is the one the US is playing. They add a layer of technological sophistication to the mix. Finally, you have the roadies and the sound engineers, the logistics and intelligence teams. They are the unsung heroes of any great concert. They make sure the guitars are tuned, the amps are working, and the set list is perfect. Without their meticulous planning, coordination, and behind-the-scenes work, the rock stars on stage wouldn't be able to perform. They ensured every instrument was in the right place at the right time with the right information, allowing the entire band to play a tight, flawless set that echoed with overwhelming success. When the final chord of the operation faded, what followed was the roar of the crowd. The public and media response in many circles was the equivalent of a massive standing ovation. News channels lit up like a sea of cell phone lights at a concert, replaying the highlights over and over again. Pundits and analysts took to the airwaves like music critics reviewing the show of the century. The headlines praised the surgical precision and flawless execution. It was the kind of glowing review every artist dreams of getting after a major release. The song was a certified hit. The language used was that of pure spectacle and entertainment. Words like dazzling, awe-inspiring, and a stunning display were thrown around, framing the military action not as a somber geopolitical event, but as a blockbuster performance. It was as if everyone had just witnessed the greatest fireworks show on Earth, and now they were all buzzing with adrenaline, sharing clips and debating their favorite moments. Was it the opening salvo from the naval destroyers? Or the jaw-dropping solo from the stealth fighters? The conversation was less about the consequences and more about the performance itself. This reaction is fascinating, isn't it? It suggests that in the modern age, a military strike can be consumed like any other piece of media. It's packaged, presented, and reviewed. The Pentagon's press briefings became the post-concert interviews where the band members get to talk about their creative process. The declassified videos were the music videos, dropped online to go viral. The entire event was curated for public consumption, designed to elicit a specific reaction: applause. And for the most part, that's exactly what they got. The encore chants were deafening. So, as the house lights come up and the crowd begins to file out of the arena, we are left with a final, thought-provoking question. We've heard the music, we've seen the performance, and we've read the glowing reviews. But was what we just witnessed truly a military operation, a necessary act of statecraft in a complex world? Or was it something else? Was it perhaps the most expensive, most explosive, and most perfectly executed musical masterpiece ever composed? The answer, I suppose, depends on where you were sitting when the music started to play.